Hello everyone, Brent Kuhn here with the law firm. I wanted to give all of you another update regarding what's going on with the Roundup litigation. It's been a long period of silence between the settlement that Roundup and Monsanto and Bayer entered into with claimants that had cases on file a decade ago. It's been over 5 years since they've attempted any settlement. So the good news is that there is now in place a settlement template. It's called a class action settlement that the court is in the process of approving that if it works out right and everything's approved, will result in a tiered structure of payments to everyone. And so the litigation would end. Everybody would receive an amount of compensation that's based on factors associated to their medical history and their documented use, different types of use if you were residential exposed versus commercial. So there's some dose-related issues as well as disease-related issues that will come into play on the structure of this. When we know more about all that, we'll pass it on to you. In the meantime, the courts have stayed the individual prosecution of cases under the theory that this is going to be a complete resolution. So we're not happy that it's going to end up with an inability to individually negotiate your claims. And when a court approves a class action structure, we can't individually negotiate cases, which is what we prefer to do. Usually we have more success doing that, particularly if we can put trial pressure on them. And as I related in our more recent newsletters to you guys on the Roundup issues, we had finally been able to get the courts where your cases are filed to allow us to move forward on some test cases that are called bellwethers. In fact, 50 of them that we've been working on with depositions to get ready for trial. So that trial pressure would have been able to give us the opportunity to force the defendant to the table and negotiate a settlement that all of you would be satisfied with. And unfortunately, right now, we can't do that anymore as a result of the stay associated to this tentative class settlement. So again, that's out there and we're having to deal with it. We'll let you know more about if and when it's approved and how that will impact you and whether or not there's any chance for you to remain in the litigation and proceed that way if that's a preference based on the lay of the land. The bad news out there right now is that from a risk factor is that there's a case in front of the Supreme Court where the defendant is asking the Supreme Court to rule that FDA regulations immunize them from liability and that they don't have a duty to warn because the FDA had approved this product for use. And so therefore it's a governmental issue and not a civil litigant issue. The Supreme Court's granted writ on that, so it remains to be seen what they would rule there. We won at the lower court level, but by the Supreme Court granting writ, which means they want to hear the case, we have some concerns that they will be interested in overturning that and saying that the FDA authorization of use immunizes the defendant. So that's a risk factor going forward if we don't go through the class route. The other risk factor is that Donald Trump, our president, recently signed an executive order that states that he wants to immunize the glyphosate industry. Again, glyphosate is a toxic product within Roundup that it kills weeds, but also causes people to get blood cancers. So by him making a statement that he wants to make these pesticides and herbicides continue to keep them available to farmers and stuff as an agrarian issue, it would mean that he wants to immunize those defendants so that they can continue to make those products the way they have, not change the ingredients, arguably because it benefits the farmers somehow. The reality is the farmers get sick and die of blood cancers just like everybody else from being exposed to this, and those products really just need to be taken off the market. But nonetheless, he's been entertaining this, and somebody probably got to him or people in his party through the lobbying efforts and stuff to get this kind of a ruling made. But that's not that doesn't bode well for us either. So we're having to fight a White House right now. We may have to be fighting the Supreme Court to keep all these cases going. But that's where it stands right now. Anything changes on any of it, we'll let you know. And again, the backstop that we're cautiously optimistic about is that the class action, irrespective of intervention from the White House or the Supreme Court, would still be a settled term. That nothing that happens in the future would change the terms and conditions for a settlement. So that's all we have to report right now. Anything else breaks, we'll keep you posted. Thank you.
You've been watching a litigation update with Brent Kuhn and Associates. Brent Kuhn and Associates is a nationally recognized law firm and the epitome of the 21st century law practice. The firm has built its reputation on the satisfaction of its clients and the respect of both colleagues and opponents. Our mission is to help ensure that individuals' rights are protected and their well-being respected. For more information about Brent Kuhn and Associates and current litigation, please visit bkuhnlaw.com.